friends, it's story time. Do you remember this cover from last week of the story that we read? Do you remember what the title is of this book? And what is the problem in this story? If you said it's the true story of the three little pigs, you're right. And do you remember what the problem was? And how the problem gets solved in the book? All right, well, let's read it again and see if we can find out. Here we go. Here we go. The true story of the three little pigs. This is by a wolf. Everybody knows the story of the three little pigs, or at least they think they do. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Nobody knows the real story because no one has ever heard my side of the story. Who do you think's saying this here? Good, the wolf. He's going to tell his side of the story, he said. I'm the wolf, Alexander T. Wolf. You can call me Al. I don't know how this whole big bad wolf thing got started, but it's all wrong. Maybe it's because of our diet. Hey, it's not my fault wolves eat cute little animals like bunnies and sheep and pigs. That's just the way we are. If cheeseburgers were cute, folks would probably think you were big and bad too. Do you like cheeseburgers? But like I was saying, the whole big bad wolf thing is all wrong. The real story is about a sneeze and a cup of sugar. This is the real story. A sneeze and a cup of sugar. Way back in Once Upon a Time, I was making a birthday cake for my dear old granny. I had a terrible sneezing cold and I ran out of sugar. He's making a cake for his granny, and he ran out of sugar. What happens next, do you think? He said, I walked down the street to ask my neighbor for a cup of sugar. Now, this neighbor was a pig, and he wasn't too bright either. He had built his whole house made out of, do you remember? Good, straw. Can you believe it? I mean, who in his right mind would build a house made of straw? So, of course, the minute I knocked on the door fell right in. I didn't want to just walk into someone else's house, so I called the little pig. Little pig, are you in? I got no answer. I was just about to go home without the cup of sugar from my dear old granny's birthday cake, and that's when my nose started to itch. I felt a sneeze coming on. Well, I huffed and I snuffed. And I sneezed a great sneeze, and what happened? Oh boy. And you know what? That whole straw house fell down. And right in the middle of the pile of the straw was the first little pig. He had been home the whole time. And look, he looks like he's surprised. He's like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that happened. It seemed like a shame to leave a perfectly good ham dinner lying in there in the straw, so I ate it up. Ooh. Think of it as a big cheeseburger just lying there. I was feeling a little better, but I still didn't have my cup of sugar, so I went to the next neighbor's house. Which one was this? Which neighbor's house was this? Do you remember? The neighbor was the first little pig's brother. He was a little smarter, but not much. He had built his house of what? Do you remember? Good, sticks. I rang the bell on the stick house. Nobody answered. I called, Mr. Pig, are you in? He yelled back, go away, Wolf. You can't come in. I'm shaving the hairs on my chinny chin chin. I had just grabbed the doorknob when I felt another sneeze coming on. I huffed and I snuffed and I tried to cover my mouth, but I sneezed a great sneeze again. And you're not going to believe it, but this guy's house fell down just like his brother's. And when the dust cleared, there was a second little pig on the ground. Wolf's honor. I wonder what wolf's honor means. Maybe that means he's saying he's telling the truth. Now, you know food will spoil if you just leave it out in the open, so I did the only thing there was to do. I had dinner again. Think of it as a second helping. It was getting awfully full, but my cold was feeling a little better. And I still didn't have that cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. So I went to the next house. This guy was the first and second little pig's brother. He must have been the brains of the family. That means he must have been smart. He had built his house of, do you remember? Bricks. I knocked on the brick house. No answer. I called, Mr. Pig, are you in? And do you know what that rude little guy answered? Get out of here, Wolf. Don't bother me again. Talk about impolite. He had probably had a whole stack full of sugar. And he wouldn't even give me one little cup for my dear sweet old granny's birthday cake. What a pig. I was just about to go home and maybe make a nice birthday card instead of a cake when I felt my cold coming on. I huffed and I snuffed and I sneezed once again. Then the third little pig yelled, and your old granny can sit on a pin. Oh, do you think that made the wolf upset? Now, I'm usually a pretty calm fellow, but when somebody talks about my granny like that, I go a little crazy. When the cops drove up, of course, I was trying to break down this pig's door, and the whole time I was huffing and puffing and sneezing and making a real scene. The rest, as they say, is history. The news reporters found out about the 2 pigs I had for dinner. They figured a sick guy going to borrow a cup of sugar didn't sound very exciting. So they jazzed up the story with all of that huff and puff and blow your house down. So what do you think he means by jazzed up the story? He's saying they wanted to make it more interesting so people would want to read it. So they told lies about him. And they made me the big bad wolf. That's it, real story. I was framed. But maybe you could loan me a cup of sugar. So there he is in jail and he's holding out a cup, pig pennies. So if the wolf story is true, then he was put in jail unfairly. How would that make you feel about the wolf? Do you think that the wolf story was true? Do you think he was telling the truth? And do you think the wolf would have eaten the first and second little pigs if the first pig had given him a cup of sugar? What do you think? If the first pig would have answered the door when he asked for a cup of sugar, do you think that would have happened? I don't know, maybe not, if the wolf story is true. What do you think the wolf might do the next time he needs to borrow some sugar? What do you think he could do next time? I don't know. What do you think? Maybe he could just go to the store and get some sugar? Or wait till his cold was finished and he wasn't sneezing anymore? I don't know. All right, friends, I hope you liked the story. We'll see you soon. Bye.